So, following our last conversation on what is happening in Nigeria, I read a comment from Babatunde Babalola 4432. He said, I am from the Middle Belt. This genocide or ethno-religious cleansing has been on for not less than 40 years. And then I read some other comments as well that I think were actually concerning for me, seeing what the community here thinks about it. And I know some people probably got to know about me for the first time from my previous video. I'll be discussing about this for a long time, maybe for like a week or two, depending on how much information, of course, I can gather and how much of discussions I can lead here on the platform. I think I made a mistake in a previous video that I had turned on monetization for the video. So YouTube limited the reach of the video. Even, of course, the platform itself is telling me that my subscribers or those who follow me are not interested in this kind of content, because they can really tell we as creators are able to know what the people are interested in. And for me, I don't really care if you are here. It's because you want to be here. Some people have seen the thumbnail of this video, seen the title, and they have skipped, but decided to come in to see what I have to discuss about. And yes, of course, I'm talking about what is happening in the north, what is happening in Plateau. But today, what I talked about in my previous video, looking at the dichotomy of how it is being viewed, especially in the Christian setting, like let's say in the Catholic Church, that's the main one I'm discussing about today. I think is something very important. But the person we talked about basically in my previous video, Reverend Ezekiel Dachimo, has released a video, has come out from his quarters, because while you see him being the one that is the frontier, or would I say the person you see on social media talking about is more, is that of everywhere he would have his church or have a community, even though he travels outside the country and comes back. I read comments, and I'm going to read comments of this video. You see that people are even saying that he should seek asylum in another country for his life. But this is a pastor, or this is a church leader who would rather stay with his people, with his flock, than be outside or elope because of what is happening in his state or where he actually does ministry. Come on, think about it. Everyone normally would think about their life. Everyone normally would think about their person because of how inherently we can be, our heart. Let's save ourselves, but he would rather choose to fight and stay with the people to encourage them than run away. Because if he is the leader running away to another country and seeking asylum, what do you expect would happen to the flock? If he's coming to preach the good news to them and them being of the Christian faith, and he is the one running as a leader, what makes him that shepherd as a pastor over them? This video is quite heartbreaking listening to it, but we have to listen to him and what he has to say, because he makes some really strong assertions here that are very heartbreaking. But I see bravery in it. I don't know if I can be that brave, to be sincere, but this man is worth giving the attention. Let's listen to what he had to say.
We are showing them love, but they didn't see. I don't know whether I will be the next. But for me, I've already told my family, my members, if they kidnap me, nobody should contribute one kobo. My grave will speak. My blood will raise war that will lead to Christian liberation. That day is coming. I'm just waiting for them. Even I will tell them, please kill me quickly, because nobody will bring kobo. And if they call home, they will tell them our daddy covenant last will that we should never pay a kobo. Please kill him, because my blood will be useful while I'm in the grave. It will fight to finish him. And I know Jesus has approved that for me. I speak, I'll be more dangerous in the world of the dead. I will not even be in the world of the dead. I will ascend to paradise. But from paradise, I will make the Muslim uncomfortable, that will lead them to repent and accept Jesus Christ as their personal Savior. That day is coming. That's my own desire of my heart. And Jesus says, I will give you the desire of your heart. God says, I will give you the desire of your heart. I want to see Muslim repenting, Fulani repenting, accepting Jesus as their personal Savior. Thank you, my brothers. God is with us. Those of you that you have supported us through the media, through the social media, God will never forsake you. God will say, I was hungry. You feed me. I was sick. You visited me and taking care of me. I was in prison. You visited me. I was wounded, persecuted. You stood by me. Then God will say, well done, my servant. Those of you that you are supporting us, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you from my heart. God see us through. In Jesus' name I pray. In the midst.
And just for the record as well, because of what happened in the previous video and how the reach was restricted for this, any video I get to make concerning this whole conversation is not monetized for any reason. If you see any ads playing on it, I don't put it on the platform. If ads can be put on a video, YouTube decides whatever to do. But I think if I don't get to monetize it, it's not going to have that limitation that YouTube gets to put on a video, because the video is something shocking or something that is not according to community guidelines of what they can actually, because if they get to monetize something, they can promote it more, because more advertisers are paying to put their ads on that video, and the video can be spread more. So I think I will not be doing that on any of this conversation, so just note that as well. And I'm just giving you, because I want to see, my goal as well is for this to get more wider attention, and current conversations about what is happening in Plateau and all of that would also be really discussed. Even right now as I'm speaking, 5 hours to the point I'm making this video, in Mozambique, there's also been, let me read this particular trend. It's actually on Twitter. It was posted by Spirikoko Twitter, now X, and then it says here, over 30 church Christian beheaded in Mozambique churches and born October 7th, 17, 2025. Breaking: over 30 Christians beheaded, churches burned by Muslims in Mozambique. In a devastating attack in Cabo Delgado, Mozambique, ISIS-affiliated militants have brutally beheaded over 30 Christians, including pastors, and set churches ablaze. They came in, committed the atrocities, and published photos of the execution and claimed responsibility. This is Islam, which is the religion of Muhammad. Pray for Christians worldwide. Things are happening globally when it comes to the Christian faith, and sometimes I even get to wonder if a religion that professes to be quote and unquote a religion of whatever peace they get to talk about, then why does your system of existence have to be by conquer or by this? Does this actually portray what your religion of course speaks of? Then you have to read the Quran to know who the infidels are according to their own definition. But that is just by the way. Coming back as well to what is happening in Nigeria, this particular comment caught my attention. These people have a choice, but they love not their lives unto death. These are the heroes of faith. His desire is not a car or a house, but that Jesus is revealed through his death for the gospel. It's not about destinies that reflect wealth, but that projects the cross to the nation filled with hate. And then someone even said in the comment, they play. Someone asked in the comment, why is Pastor Adeboye not speaking? I think, should there really be a conversation? So the title of this video is The Catholic Division on Tackling Genocide, especially in Nigeria as it's being defined. So there are 2 Catholic bishops. One is a bishop in Makurdi, and the other one is a bishop in Sokoto. They're speaking in 2 different voices, even though they have some aligning agreement on what is going on in Nigeria. So this is my thesis, or would I say my observation on this particular subject. So both Bishop Matthew Kuka and Bishop Wilfred Chikpa Anagbe are prominent Nigerian Catholic bishops, but they have expressed different views on the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular interest. One who actually in a way stands with the government, because you get to understand his views and persona even when it comes to the politics of the country. He was very much active in the time of Buhari, that he normally calls out Buhari for his incompetence as well. Even also talks vehemently about his alignment, of course, with the Muslims when it comes to how even he himself, nothing has happened to him because he believes in this interreligious, would I say, coexistence, if I'm to say so, or would I say interreligious peace. But I'll get to also really expatiate on his views and that of Anegbe. So the one that is also Bishop Kuka himself is the one that is from Sokoto, and then Anagbe is the one that is from Makurdi. So the United States, like I talked about in my previous video, are looking forward to designating Nigeria of a country of particular interest, which would be a blow on the government. And it's more of a way that is supposed to push the government to act decisively in this particular issue if the bill is being passed. And the government doesn't want that to happen, to the point that they have even sent people to the US to lobby the legislature against that particular kind of pronouncement, which is a bill that is being led by Ted Cruz to see to that effect that happens. But that is still an ongoing conversation. Okay, so who are the bishops themselves? Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, he is the bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto in northern Nigeria, a priest and political scientist. Notice well here, political scientist. Kuka is a well-known public intellectual and tireless advocate for justice, democracy, and the Christian-Muslim relations. This is actually well important because I had to highlight that part when it comes to his key figure in that intermediary, having served on various national committees. Someone that has tasted as well the corridors of power, indeed as well here would always stand with power with respect to what they propagate. Even though he was very much active during Buhari's administration and even calling his administration a bit incompetent and on different levels tackling him, we'll see some of his postulations on social media, or would I say on the media space, in the past and even in the present. Bishop Wilfred Chipa Anagwe, we had discussed about him when he had this particular meeting, which I'll be discussing about today, with respect to reporting what is happening in Nigeria at the, I think it was we are going to look at the video. I don't know if it was in the United Nations or would I say in the US Congress, I'm not sure.
I am the shepherd of one of the 4 dioceses, Catholic dioceses in Benue. We have others, Anglican, Methodist, and Pentecostals, which certainly Benue State has a population of about 6.1 million people, 2 million of whom are those under my care as the bishop of the diocese. Benue State is about 98% Christian, with very few Muslims living in towns. Nigeria and eventually my diocese and the state of Benue have become, in recent years, one of the most dangerous and insecure places for Christians. Christians and Muslims are nearly evenly divided among Nigeria's large population of over 200 million persons. Islamist extremists are fiercely contesting the possession, control, and governing law of the land, especially in the country's northern and central regions, the latter of which is where Benue is located. There are constant ethnic, political, and religious conflicts over land and allegiance. Constitutionally, we are a secularist country, but our unity has been fragile. Political and religious actions and even public speech have been carefully managed to avoid accusations of religious bias and political tensions. Today, the clear influence of Islamist extremists has changed the traditional social dynamics of tribe, ethnicity, religion, and the social status in Nigeria. Because just recently, at the beginning of the Ramadan fast, 12 states in northern Nigeria have declared closed schools so that they attend to this. And you can imagine which other country in the world does that. Saudi Arabia is not doing it. Afghanistan is not doing it. Baghdad is not doing it, but then Nigeria is practicing. What kind of Islam are they practicing? 12 states, and not only Muslims are living in these places. What happens with the educational program or curriculum of the country? But this is what we are going through every day in Nigeria. A long-term Islamic agenda to homogenize the population has been implemented over several presidencies through a strategy to reduce and eventually eliminate the Christian identity of half of the population. This strategy includes both violent and non-violent actions, such as the exclusion of Christians from positions of power and adoption of such church members, the raping of women, the killing and exploitation of Christians, the destruction of churches and farmlands of Christian farmers, followed by the occupation of such lands by the Fulani herders, and also changing the names of these villages. They are taking over the places, so you clearly see an expansionist approach and Islamic. And then,
okay, he is the bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi in Benue State, Nigeria, and the Middle Belt region. And like I read as well here in the comments before this video when Baba Tunde himself said that this has been happening for not less than 40 years. So it's actually very systemic if you look at it critically. This diocese has been the epicenter of intense violence where it's actually more occurring. So when you read the comment that I read for you at the beginning of this video, is very intentional as well for you to see that what the person said in the comment was not a lie. With Makurdi having the highest number of internally displaced persons, highest number, and this is also something to note, the highest number of internally displaced persons, the highest number. In the country due to attacks primarily by who? The Fulani militants. Note as well here, primarily by the Fulani militants. So there's something as well significant about the Fulani tribe. We have discussed about them as well here on the platform and how they get to exist in the Nigerian construct. And everyone thought that Buhari himself coming from that tribe categorically would have been an end to all of this whole menace. But we saw Buhari's administration come and go, and things have even worsened that even in 2025, this is still a conversation. Moving on as well here, their stance on the genocide in Nigeria. Both bishops have acknowledged the severity of the violence against Christians in Nigeria, often describing it as genocidal in nature. Of course, they have done so. Just for them to have that agreement, they have described it as such. But let's go on. Bishop Kuka has stated that the systemic violence against Nigerian Christians, including the killings by Fulani herdsmen and Islamic extremist groups, is genocidal in nature, adding that the country has largely become a failed state. Now, this is something he said also during Buhari's administration. When I was reading the news, of course, to see this. Of course, Bishop Anabe, having witnessed the violence firsthand in his diocese, has also explicitly, repeatedly called the targeted violence as genocide and an Islamist extermination of the church, stressing that the violence is primarily religiously motivated, not just as a result of climate change or farmer-herder clashes. And that particular narrative is what is being pushed by some Western media, even at this point as well, about the situation, climate change. But if you look at it critically, climate change for over 40 years, no, my dear, shouldn't be so. Moving on as well here, this particular table here looks critically at their difference and their stance based on different factors. One, we are looking at the feature of comparison. Two, of course, right here, Bishop Wilfred Anabe's view. And then we have as well here Bishop Kuka's view. And then that, of course, right here, their stance on the genocide. First, of course, here, the crisis nature or the nature of the crisis. I had to use how I got to have this table was when I was feeding the information, of course, to Gemini. I asked Gemini to just give me a table so it's easy for me to discuss it as well here with us in the community. I hope it's actually clear enough for you to see, or maybe I would have to zoom the screen as well for us to see clearly. So first, of course, here, the crisis nature. What did Bishop Wilfred himself say? He called it, of course, an Islamist extermination, like I just mentioned, which is primarily motivated agenda to conquer the land. Of course, Bishop Matthew Kuka himself says that it is actually a product of weak governance and corruption driven by a failed state, poverty, organized crime, with religion as a dimension. So he sees religion to be one dimension, but on these other factors. Even, Bishop Kuka himself is quoted many times to have said that Nigeria is a country that only corruption works. Like what works itself is corruption. I've watched him when I was watching several of his videos. That is something he has repeated many times. So for him to be speaking like this, I am not surprised. Now, stance on genocide, like I just mentioned right now, both bishops have explicitly called the targeted violence in Nigeria genocide or genocidal in nature. But what now brings a difference between both of them? Let's look at the concept of their desired international role into what is happening in Nigeria. Bishop Anabe himself said that Bishop Anabe himself requires there to be sanctions and direct intervention, and specifically calls for targeted sanctions on complicit officials. If you have been following things happening in Nigeria very clearly, you know that some key officials in Nigeria have literally been mentioned to have an involvement in this whole conversation of what is happening in Nigeria. Some people are really profiting from this insecurity. You won't say the DSS don't know about these things happening. There's some intelligence that gets to flow as to those who might be perpetrators of this, and powers that be that requires this kind of instability to happen for them to profit. Some people, Nigeria to them is just a business, if I'm to say so. Because how does these arms get to come in? Where do these people that are fighting, where do they get their arms from? Someone is making money, someone is selling arms. Then, of course, Bishop Kuka himself says that he calls for partnership and support, which is more of a constructive engagement and support for the country to reform its governance structure. So, as a political scientist, of course, it's not going to be difficult for him to actually speak in this way, because he comes from he has a political background as to him looking at things not just for what they are factually, but looking at how it affects the political terrain of the country, which also gets to make sense. Okay, moving on as well here, we look at the factor of their country of particular concern designation, what they both had to say. Bishop Wilfred Anagbe himself supports this, so he called for strong support for that resignation. And then, of course, Bishop Matthew Kuka opposes that. This is where they both get to have a disagreement. Why would two bishops of the Catholic Church in the international scene as well be having a disagreement on this particular factor? One is on the opposition, and the other one is also for it to be supported. And that is where the bone of contention gets to come in. Location spoken because it was a public speech that they had to give for that to be noted of their different views. Of course, Bishop Wilfred Anagbe has spoken at the US Congress hearings and the Vatican event. Bishop Kuka himself was speaking at the Vatican City. That was just a few months ago at the ACN. That just a few weeks ago he was speaking at the Vatican City and also on national news. He has spoken about it on several occasions, as I've read it in reports. So you see, why would two of them be having different views when they come from the same community? One leans more to the government side and the other one leans more to what is happening on ground, of course, but mainly to the people and to the community where he finds himself. Quite important. Then the core rationale. The core rationale of the person of Wilfred Anagbe is to pressure the government and end impunity. His goal is for the government to be pressured, because the government has to feel the whip of what is happening, not just what is happening and it's as if no one cares, which compels, of course, take action and show international concern. Because if Nigeria is designated to be a country of particular concern, then it would also affect foreign direct investment into the country, because investors will be scared. If I'm investing in this country, what will happen to my investment? So it gives a view of the country externally, which the country doesn't want, and no administration would want its country to be seen that way. It will just show that your country, or would I say your administration, has failed. And that's why Tinubu and the Boala community are going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that that does not get to happen, at least on the international community, even though what is happening in Nigeria is a fact. Bishop Kuka himself as well is looking at so he looks at promoting dialogue and internal reform, because he believes that if the country is being designated to be a country of particular concerns, they have as well is going to lead to stigmatization of the country Nigeria, and also increased tensions, which hurts peace efforts. So he's on this idea of there having to be peace, or would I say peaceful relations, dialogue between the communities, or where there is actually this tension. But if you look at what has happened over time, I'm going to play a video for you that will also make you understand that something is really cooking. And when it comes to the subjects that are involved in these intentional killings, you wonder to yourself if these people are people that can be made peace with when they are invaders, not as if when they are invaders trying to be custodians, if you get what I mean. In summary, Bishop Anagbe frames the crisis as a clear-cut case of religious genocide, requiring forceful external intervention to save the victims. His focus is on the victims, while Bishop Kuka frames the crisis as a consequence of a failed governance and systemic corruption, arguing for a focus on internal dialogue and reform with international support rather than isolating labels. So yes, of course, he calls for international support, Bishop Kuka, but he's looking at it to be a systemic government failure. That, of course, would make sense on an angle, because if the government itself is not failing, either in its security apparatus or other factors that may be concerning, then why would this be happening under its watch? And just for you to know, even this particular current service chief himself have just been replaced or changed. Some of you know him. Let's look at him here. There was a blog post, of course, about him, which is what I want to look at right now, so we can get to really see what I'm talking about. You might want to follow me on Instagram. I'm actually on Instagram, where I get to see and save most of these whole conversations as well.
Total new impetus.
So you see, it says here on this post here, Nigerians are expressing disappointment over the sudden removal of the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, by the Tinubu administration. Many have linked his removal to the alleged fake coup said to have been orchestrated by the presidency, paving the way for the appointment of his tribesman, General Olufemi Oluyide, as the new Chief of Defense Staff. Some of you had seen that report that was said to be that there was a coup that was planned, of course, to happen in Nigeria. This right here as well can be an effect of that, but let's go on. General Musa was widely respected and hailed for his firm stance against negotiating with terrorists and his commitment to decisive military action in restoring national security. Why would this be happening at this critical point in time? And if you look at if you look at President Tinubu's appointments over time, probably we'll discuss that in our next video or so, it will make sense that it's as if what is happening is indeed it is our turn, Emiloko, if you look at what I'm saying critically. But let's listen to what the video, of course, he has to say.
Before it was safe haven, now is enduring peace. But what we think we need is more peace. Like I said, it's not only for us to win the war, it's to win the peace. But if we win the war without winning the peace, there won't be any problem. So we have reached that stage now is to bring a peace that is going to be enduring for everyone to benefit from it. And that's why we're here, and that's why the new building. There's a new mindset I want to create within the troops to know that we need to work with the communities. The communities must trust us. And trust is not something you buy. It's people see your action and inaction, then they know you are trust. And that's what we want to do. So we're going to rally on everyone to work together. And we want to appeal to Nigerians to give the support to members of the armed forces, because we are determined and dedicated and committed to ensuring that there's peace everywhere we operate. Those ones we're taking them, those of them that we can refit, we refit. Those ones that we not, will be discarded. But more equipments are coming because we think we need new items so that we don't have any breakdown. The troops are fully committed and they will be mobile, so that we can ensure that wherever these individuals are, we must fish them out. The idea of sitting down waiting for one attack or the other should go. We must go into the bush and bring them, and that's why I directed that all checkpoints within the town should be left to the police to handle. Troops, armed forces personnel should be at maybe the entry points and exit points only. We must maintain mobile patrols, and then we must go into the bushes to fish out where these individuals are and take them out. Thank you very much.
So this is a person that has been replaced, just so you know. This is not a person that is replacing. This is a person that has been replaced.
I'm Kanchan Mangu local government. I'm here to report the situation in Mangu local government to the whole world to understand. What is happening in Mangu at this particular point in time? The military are the ones sending our people away to allow the militia to burn their houses. At this particular point in time, they have sent every Christian away from the new market, and thereby leaving the Muslims to go and burn their houses. They set the curfew. The curfew is restricted to only people within Mangu, within the Christian domain. But in the Muslim domain, they are free to move and do whatever they wanted to do. And not only that, the military has killed 3 of our young men, in which I know one is before my own church. They killed one yesterday. And I reported to the security. He said that it was a fake soldier. At first he said I was lying, until I proved to him beyond reasonable doubt. Then finally he said it was a fake soldier. I said no, it's not a fake soldier. It's a real soldier who killed him. Soldier is not soldier. I said no, it's a soldier that killed him. Finally they made signal to the soldier and he disappeared from the scene. This thing go on and on. Now that I'm speaking to you, all of them are switched off their phone, and they allow the place to be burned down and raised by the people. And this is what is going on even now that I'm speaking to you. There are people around in Gindri Junction, down from this side to Lagiri side, down there. Their houses are now at place because the soldiers protected them and they allowed them to burn people's houses. They are not doing anything about it. So we in Mangu local government, as far as Christians are concerned, we don't want the military in Mangu local government. They should park at their load and go. We don't want them. We don't need them and we don't want them. Because the plan, they have been bought. They have been paid with the price to carry out their duty, what they are doing. So that reason I'm saying, and I'm calling the whole world to understand that this thing should stop. And people should come to our rescue to save us. If not, that is an evil plan for us to destroy Mangu local government. Because the governor is from here, and we are not going to allow it. We are going to fight with less of the Babylon. They say they kill us all. The military should keep on killing us. We accept they should kill us, but we are not going to stop. We are going to penetrate. I will say personally, I organize the whole Christian in Mongolian government. We are going to fight. We are not going to stop. And that is what I said. If this is not stop, we are going to call a meeting for pastors, and we are going to make an arrangement for that, because that is enough is enough. We have tried all to make a peaceful living. We have cried and make cry, but the government is not listening. If they switch on their phone, where they should take our cry to? That's my plea. Thank you.
This is the Christian Association of Nigeria chairman in the Mangu local government talking about how the military themselves are complicit to what is happening. Why would the Christian communities be having a curfew but the Muslim are being free? This is a direct report as well coming from someone that is leading the Christian Association over there in the Mangu local government. So if Khan is not just what happens in Abuja and Lagos, but has its own tentacles, of course, or it branches its representation in places like this, are they really having these kind of conversations in Cannes, and to see how they can actually get to support them in what is happening there? He just talked about a Christian military, or a Christian, more like a defense system. Even the comments right here, why are all the bishops in Nigeria silent over the genocide against Christians in our country? And they're calling the names of, you know who they're calling. Everyone needs to watch this on YouTube. A UK journalist talking about what is going on in Nigeria. Of course, I'll be getting to check on that. And I'll be looking at many of this whole conversation as well here on different aspects. That's what I'll be posting about. So if you want probably other juicy things that are happening in the church or society or whatever, I'll talk about it on my smaller channel. But if I have a channel with over 100,000 subscribers like this, the best I can do is just use here to push it. The other channel can, whatever happens there of course can happen, but I think this right here needs attention, so we know that indeed the military would also have some questions to answer here. And changes of course are happening, but what is the point of that happening? Like the chief of defense staff that has been replaced right now, there's a systemic issue happening, especially in the communities where this crisis is going on. The military themselves, they are human beings, but do they stand for the people, or do they have some sentiments to where the fights are coming from?
Ni ne mai suna Faso Adamu Musa, ni Bafulatani ne, aiki ne ya kawo ni a nan. Kuma a cikin wannan aiki sai ya kasance da cewa na faɗi a hannun Fulani. Sun zo sun kawo hari, sun kawo ma mutane masu bi a Miyango. Ya sa ina kan mashin, abun ya zo ya faru da ni, sun harbe ni, ban son hawa ba, ban son sauka ba. Amma na gode wa Allah da yake cewa ni mai bi ne, kuma na son Ubangiji. Addu'a na shine Ubangiji Allah ya sa su gane. Kanan abu na biyu da nake so mutane su sani masu bi, wajibi ne mu tashi tsaye domin mu ceci kanmu da kanmu. Mun sani Ubangiji yana tare da mu, domin na ɗaya ba mu taɓa tsokanan Fulani ba. Aƙalla na kai shekara na 17 ina Miyangola, ba taɓa gani inda aka tsokane su ba. Su ne suna zuwa su sara mana amfani, su kashe mu. Before last year an ƙona mun gida a Kamaru, this year kuma gashi na shiga an harbe ni. To addu'a na shine Ubangiji ya ganar da su, domin mu ba ma rike su da wani manufa. Amma ya kamata mu sani da cewa ba mu da security, domin sojoji ba sa mana amfanin komai.
They are praying that the Lord gives them understanding, but Christians have to rise up to defend themselves. That's a conversation I think we need to have when it comes to how we get to defend ourselves, not just prayer. He's an indigene. You see those he's talking about there, the Fulanis. And what you see, the research we looked at in our previous video of what the Westerners are saying, that it's a tribe that is really, really being focused on this. And if you look at that as well to be maybe a religious or ethnic cleansing in a way, it's more like multifaceted. So what we are looking at as well here is indeed really deep.
It was around to 8. My wife just said she want to go and sleep. She was watching film in the neighboring room. Before I know, my wife was saying she want to go and sleep. I was staying outside while then they went there and started sleeping. I hear the gunshot. Since I can't see, I just touched the door there and I entered, calling my people to come in because that door is a hard door. It's not like the zinking door we are having in our room. She responded to me, but for her to come in, the Fulani people have covered them and they have killed them now. They are my eye. Everywhere I'm going, that woman will hold me. If I want to send, I will send my kids to go and then come back. I'm a student with the University of Jos. About going to school, you will see them crying, they want to go with me. Coming back, they will rejoice seeing their father, but now they are no more. Let me tell the JFM and the Reading FM, what is your work? Is the government hearing us? Especially the Irigwe people, is the government listening to us? We've been hearing this menace is occurring for how many years? I lost my elder brother through crisis. I lost my uncle through crisis. Today, my wife, my 2 kids are no more.
I don't know how long I can go talking about this, but I think I just have to create awareness about this. That's the best I can do. I think they need to be heard. If the Nigerian system cannot hear them, if people are just thinking of how to window dress their political environment and make sure politically things are sound but people are suffering, then someone needs to talk about what is happening over here in the north. You see how they're talking about consistently the Fulani people? And if you look at our conversation as well here about the same Fulani people, looking at history, I'm going to pin the video in the pinned comments. Probably some of us haven't seen it. Someone came in my previous video and was saying that even I myself should be held responsible for not speaking out. And that is your first comment ever on this community. You don't belong here. If you come to a place for the first time, relax, calm down, check. I've been talking about this for a long time. I don't just come here because I just want to create drama. If it's just for me to use this platform as well here, that I have to talk about this, at least for this period, I will do it. I can talk about other things on my other page. The best we can do is create awareness of this. I have an handle I can get to talk. Probably you can't post about this in your page or your business page, but at least there should be conversations around it. When once attention gets to come on something, it becomes current. It becomes currency. And this has to be a current conversation because lives are at stake. If they take over the north or do whatever cleansing they have been doing over time systemically, is it when it gets to happen in your village and it starts happening to you? Some of us are living abroad, but you don't know whether it's going to be happening in your very village where your grandparents are staying because it is moving. If people are saying that they have designated that Nigeria belongs to them, are you being serious? And they have systemic power that is also supporting what they're doing. I said I was going to play a video of something that happened. Look at this here. It was an X that I saved that video. Hold on as well. Let me check something. Now, look at this particular video. So, unknown people, according to the tag on Twitter, I'm going to read it. So, unknown people went into communities, massacred them in hundreds, including women and children. In less than 48 hours, a Fulani coalition issues a statement, and this is on TVC News, detailing conditions for peace in Plateau State. And you say it is not terrorism? Let's look at the video together.
Conduct inside
Fulani organization in Plateau State in the aftermath of the community invasion in Bokos that left many people dead, including women and children, issued a condition if peace is to reign in Plateau State as yarned.
We demand the immediate removal of Commander Sector 5 Operation Safe Haven Bokos Colonel Dauda Majem for bias, unprofessional military conduct, inciting violence, inciting religious intolerance and bigotry, incompetence and violation of military ethics and constitutional provisions. We are demanding for the disbandment of the notorious and anti-Fulani squad, the state security outfit codenamed Operation Rainbow, arrest and prosecute her operatives involved in killing, maiming, arresting and displacing Fulani communities in Bokos local government.
Fulani community in Bokos local government. You might have to start talking about how that particular community got to exist over there, because this is more like a settlement kind of thing. And when such an event happens, you are coming to call for conditions for peace, meaning that you are just saying that you are the ones that incited that kind of violence, or you are the one responsible, if that is what I'm seeing. And you are calling for the change of commanders who are anti-Fulani. What does that even say? What image does that even get to paint? And this is actually airing on the news after an attack has happened, and you are the one giving conditions for peace, and the military are just watching. So you see that what is happening, if this does not even give you insight to what is going on, then I don't know who is going to be giving you that insight as to what is happening right there. I'll see you in the next video as we get to have this conversation. There is more, of course, I have to share. The best I can do is just bring this information out so that probably people in Nigeria may not really know may not care, because the platform says you don't care. Or I don't mean you that is watching right now, you care about the conversation. Trust me, I'm not monetizing this particular video. I'm not making a dime from it. You're watching it probably to this point as well tells the platform, okay, people are interested in this, let's push this video out. That is what happens. In case you don't understand how YouTube works, what the people themselves enjoy watching, and they watch for a considerable period of time, it gives a signal to the platform to push it more because people are interested. It just happens to be that the way I have trained the audience that I've had here over time is that they get to like more of like drama. This person called this person out, or this person called this person out. I sit down and analyze, oh, interesting, gist. But everything is not buzzwords. This is something really concerning. You may not see other platforms talking about it, but I will talk about it because I have a face. I'm a person. I'm not like a voiceover kind of artist. No, I'm not a voiceover artist. I'm a real person, and this is something really concerning. If your pastor cannot talk about it, if your GO or whoever you look up to cannot talk about it or add their voice, as they are very, very, and they can call down fire and do that, and how powerful they are, I would talk about it. I would get to amplify it because that is what I do. But you can also get to do something. But I don't blame my community or those who are here who are not into, who don't like this kind of videos, because someone will say, oh, it's bad news. I don't like to watch bad news. I like to watch good news. It's fine. But this right here needs attention. Those who are living there are human beings. This is happening systemically, of course, in Africa. Is it about the religion or is it about the tribe? That's some things we have to look forward to discussing more deeper. Till I see you in the next video, my name remains George. I'm almost running late for work, but this right here itself is work. See you. Bye-bye.